What it do, snackers and snackettes? Uh, the LS crew is back, ready to discuss episode 3 of
Yeah,
Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah,
It's your boy Gage. Uh, Coop is
he's
in the
present this
building,
time.
and Sin is in the building.
Yep.
So, I say there's no real good reason to waste any time, gentlemen. Let's just jump right in.
yeah.
Starting off episode 3, what do we think? How are we feeling?
Um, I I like it. I didn't like how it started off, but that's how the other two episodes started off for me, feeling like I didn't like it at first. But when it got to the end, I was okay with it. I like it.
Okay. That's your overall consensus. I can dig it. Sin?
I really enjoyed this episode. It wasn't what I was looking for going
Right.
into it. Like how explained last week. Like it was like this week. Like we're gonna get to see like some real interaction like between them.
Hmm.
But in the first two episodes was setting it all up. Uh, Still didn't kind of happen. Seems like that's gonna start happening in the next episode. But
Definitely. Yeah.
What
I still,
what didn't kind of happen?
well,
The
their like interaction like in person. You know what I mean? It's been like little tidbits, but not like full on cloak and dagger. So not necessarily using powers, but like just interacting, being around each other. You know what I'm saying? Learning more about each other, helping each other out, that type of stuff.
right.
Like this was more so all about what their powers are like. I don't know, more forgetting about their powers and how they're more tied to each other than they thought.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, well, I dug the episode. I think I kind of get what you're saying. Like, I'm starting to feel a little bit impatient with them. I don't know, maybe getting control. But the funny thing about it is, I'd probably be upset if they like already knew how to use their powers. You know what I mean? If they figured it out
Mhm.
already, I'd probably be like, that's fake. You can't just get powers. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a weird place to be in. It's this show has it seems to have a slow burn
Yeah.
that is um it kind of drags in certain places, and I think that's a result of it being more of like a teenage show. It feels more like Freeform has a lot of like teenage drama
Yeah.
shows.
Hmm.
And it feels like it's leaning a little maybe too heavily in that direction. And what's weird about that for me is that the show seems to have some very adult themes, even though they're teenagers, which I mean it is what it is, right? But it almost feels like it's geared towards kids in the way the style of the shooting and so forth is. And I'm not I'm not sure about that completely. But I do like that they're sticking with the idea of kind of switching back and forth, showing that they are
Yeah.
opposite sides of the same coin, really pushing the yin and the yang
Yeah.
Hmm.
of everything. Um, I will say this. I'm not sure about these dream sequence things.
Okay.
I just don't understand it. Like I mean, even without any like comic book knowledge or whatever, um, I feel like it's just kind of weird that that's the way they've chosen to set it up. Where I guess in order for them to, I don't know, I guess remember each other or give credence to what has happened to them, that they have to do these weird dream sequences that like they're in and they seem to have some control over, but not enough control over. And
Yeah.
it's like they're talking to each other, but not really.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
was I was wondering how the connection was going to happen between the two, because based off the first episode when they met, and it was like, okay, we meet and then we're apart. So I was thinking like, what's that connection that's going to make them be like, okay, we kind of need to figure this out together, and that's what this
Yeah.
episode seemed like it was. But it was a weird way, or I guess a different way to approach that, you know?
I mean, it seems like this is one of those episodes that's going to be important further down the line. Like that this is establishing something that we can't
Yeah,
see yet. Um
Yeah, I mean, especially seeing like how she sees, no matter all the different directions that he's possibly gonna take, and you know, what I'm saying with some heavy stuff shown, like him getting killed, him getting hung, like by the police, like all that type of stuff. And on the other
him
side,
hanging
like,
himself.
well, yeah, you know what I mean, and, yeah, and like him seeing like what have you know the whole imagery with her father, whatever. You know what I'm saying, getting waterboarded and all that type of stuff. Yeah, I do agree that this is a deeper episode that'll manifest itself probably later.
yeah. When I saw that sequence at first, I was very confused, and then I took it as okay. She needs to figure out a way to help him,
Mm-hmm.
and he needs to figure out a way to help her.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, it was just a different way of doing it that I wasn't really like into at first. But I was when I got it, I was like, okay, I guess.
Well, here's the thing. I think that the episode was maybe that way by design because you don't really get the payoff until the very end of the episode when he's walking home with the one girl who took him to do the little voodoo thing,
Right.
and he
Hmm.
recognizes the stained glass window in the church as the place where they met. And then
Mm-hmm.
like at that point, I immediately knew, oh, okay, he's going in there
Of
and he's
course,
gonna
yeah,
run into her in there, you know
yeah,
what I mean, or whatever. But when that happens, it's kind of like, okay, we need to talk. It's like, all right, cool. We're 3 episodes in, we've kind of figured this out. She
yeah.
told him in the very beginning of the episode, like, man, look, don't take this the wrong way, but I hope I never see you again.
Hmm.
You know
Yeah,
what I
straight
mean?
up.
So of course you dream about him the entire episode, right? You know, as a little boy. Hey, listen, can I
While
put
having
this
a
out there?
nasty concussion too.
Why they put that little light skinned boy in there to play him as a kid?
Hey dog,
He
I've been
don't
thinking that the whole time. Like, come on
he
now,
don't look
come on
nothing.
now.
Nothing like, and then like it's supposed to take place a long time ago. So why does he have like look, he ain't that old. So he ain't from back in the day when Hot Top phase was in originally. He got like the little boy got like a hair too. Like they stinking
Hmm.
that down. They're really stinking that down. Like they're really pushing it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? With him as this little boy, but you
his
know,
younger self is kind of weak.
um,
Yeah. That kid is
yeah,
related to the director or something. Like he
something, because you're
put my
not gonna
nephew in
tell
there.
me no. There's somebody on set who looked at him and was like, I don't think some
Like, nah, it's good. It's my
uh
nephew. He's good.
right, fine, right. You know, I think that the idea of them being able to kind of see into each other's past and kind of gain an understanding of what's going on with each other is as important to their characters individually and to their growth together as it
Mhm.
is to telling the story to us, that it's being used as a vessel so that we get to see the flashbacks or whatever of maybe things that
Mhm.
they went through or certain pieces that were important to him. Like there were some pieces of it that I kind of didn't exactly get, but like the idea of his older brother working and then like giving his checks
Mhm.
to his younger, to Tyrone.
Which was
And
weird
that,
too.
yeah, it seemed a little weird. Like, I don't know
You
how you just hand a little boy a check he can't
exactly.
cash. You know what I'm saying? He can't do anything with it. I was starting to wonder, like, okay, so does that mean that there's money somewhere he can't access, or I
Hmm.
don't know. But I do believe that part of the point of what they were doing was leaning them more towards, okay, he's been chasing this police officer that's the person that murdered his
Right.
brother.
Hmm.
And which of course that twist at the end, like all of a sudden, like I didn't trust the cop that was going after her and going after him or whatever. Like something seemed weird about that. Because she wasn't like talking, she didn't have any speaking lines or saying anything. It just seemed
Yeah.
weird, like she had some kind of a
Yeah,
power or something, right?
I don't think she has powers. I think
No,
I
but
actually,
yeah, now
it was
it's
just
like,
weirdly done. Yeah,
yeah. When they first did that, I thought it was pretty cool. But then when she started talking, I was like, oh, you just ruined it. Like, I just,
oh yeah, oh okay, you're regular. Yeah, like and so I think though that leaning towards, okay, he's gonna have these run-ins with the police, and he really needs to do what he has to do in order to kind of like fight the police force to kind of draw out this corruption.
Mhm.
And she, at the end of her dream sequence with them showing all the different ways that she's, I think, tried to cope with what happened with her father, all the different ideas of like blaming herself or, just whatever, kind of realizing that maybe her bigger fight is gonna be with Roxanne. That like his dream sequence started with him finding a little girl dancing on top of the Roxanne building.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So and then with them being in the board meeting and like seeing them, like like pouring water down his throat and all that kind of stuff, like almost as if
You're the ones
he
that killed my
was
father.
forced off the road intentionally.
Yeah.
Because of what was going on, which is a little weird with the way that sequence happened in the morning. In the first episode with him complaining to them, it just seems weird that it could be that they ran him off the road or something on purpose. But anyway, I think it just kind of is setting up that his bigger fight is going to be with law enforcement and her bigger fight is going to be with the corporation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was intrigued by the third episode where they showed her point of view, and then they showed his point of view at one point, and I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. But it kind of like it started off kind of cool, but it was like, okay, like I thought they were gonna do something with that the whole episode, but they kind of didn't. It was just like, this is what she had, this is what he had, and that was it. And then
Oh,
it was
you
more about
mean with how when the episode started, it was like from her perspective of getting up from the car accident,
right,
and
right.
then after the commercial break, it came back and it was his perspective having just fired the gun at the car that caused the accident.
Yeah, I
You
thought
hear
that
like
was
more of what he said.
yeah, I thought that was cool at first, but then after that, they were just like, all right, let's just run the show. That's what it felt like, you know?
It did, yeah. I mean, it was kind of a neat thing, and it did seem a little strange. But I'm wondering if maybe that'll be a thing going forward. I'm thinking I need to look and pay a little more attention to the credits. But I feel like these episodes have been directed by different people.
Hmm.
They don't all have the same feel. Like musically, as far as the editing goes, they seem similar. But I
Hmm.
feel like the direction that they're being given, like I think these episodes are maybe being directed by different people.
Yeah.
You can kind of feel that, I think, a little bit. And it might be having an effect on, the show.
Now, here's a question: do y'all think that voodoo doll that the lady was making is going to come back at some point? Because they were showing
They
it
Yeah.
being
ended they
made
ended it.
throughout the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You see what
Yeah.
it was.
Definitely. And
Yeah.
that also made me think like, is she a villain? Is there gonna be a villain, or are they just gonna like deal with their own personal issues
Is she going to make a
throughout the show?
dapper one that's going to be white?
Well, that's what I was thinking, was that there was going to be one that was like, I'm trying to figure out how you voodoo print with a 3D printer.
Hey, that
Yeah.
I don't, that's
Yeah.
that that's that new
oh, you can do that now? Oh, that's
yeah,
dangerous.
that's that new voodoo. I don't even know how you put pins in that.
The Voodoo
Um
Office Depot. Something.
something, bro. Yeah. I can tell you this, I certainly didn't guess that the person who was making the 3D printing throughout the entire thing was going to be her.
Oh, of course not. I
Like,
was thinking.
Yeah, that
expecting
was
that
creepy.
at all. I had no idea what they were printing. I mean, it didn't even look like that's what they were printing anyway. But I do think, yeah, maybe at some point there will be a printing of Tandy as
Mhm.
well. Or it just could be, that technically in the comic books, there isn't actually like a love relationship between Tandy and Tyrone. I guess on occasion there has been, but for
Mhm.
the most part, it's more or less like they're just a duo, like a team,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and they need each other. I think there's a certain amount of intimacy between them because of how
Because
their
of their
powers,
connection. Yeah.
yeah, because of what their connection is, but not that it's necessarily one like a physical like attraction kind of a thing.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Um for some reason I feel like that's the direction the show is going to head in, specifically because they started with her being so heavily tied to this boy, to that boyfriend,
Mhm.
Hmm.
and then him and this girl kind of having a connection with the whole voodoo thing, and clearly she really likes him, and then he kissed her or whatever at the end of the
Right.
episode. So seems like that's a thing, and I'm wondering whether or not it's going to be, oh, I see you with that white girl, gotta, whatever,
I can definitely see that coming.
oh
Coming to
Yeah.
fruition, and then eventually like them breaking up or whatever and having to deal with now we're not together, but we still need balance each other with our powers and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's why I think.
Yeah, look, I mean, go ahead.
That's why I think the next episode is so important because it kind of shows them together interacting with their powers, so you can see how they interact together and what their vibe is off each other. Yeah, but that was a good point you made, saying that maybe they break up because it's like maybe they are together and then they break up, but then they realize, okay, we don't need to be together, but we need to be around each other or something, you know?
Yeah, we need to live on the same.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a teenage drama, so I'm totally expecting it to be like he establishes something with this voodoo girl, and then it's like he's always disappearing or off somewhere, and he can't tell her where or whatever, and then she sees, you know what I mean, that he's with, and it's not even like that. And then why are you always around her?
Sandy always showing up.
Because
we gotta go. Hey, I gotta step off real quick. You always stepping off with the little white girl. Yada yada yada, stuff like that.
Yeah,
we need each other, but it's not like that. You know what I mean? Like
those 5 words. It's not even like that.
It's going to be said at some point.
Definitely coming down the pipe.
Yes.
Definitely.
It's not even like that. That's the key one right now.
Yeah, that's the key word. We're going to hear that. I guarantee we'll hear that.
Hey, listen, can we focus for just a split second on my man sneaking this girl into his house
and then get
with his mama in the house and then get Bucky.
I wanted his mother to knock on the door so fast.
Listen, me too. Then getting in the tub. I'm gonna put a hard country U on that.
Yeah,
getting in the seasonings, dog.
He was
listen. Full packet of turkey seasonings.
Marinating in a bathtub. I wanted his mother to come there so bad.
Yo, wasn't potpourri, bro. Yeah.
Like oregano, some thyme.
Like, listen to me. Let me tell you something. Who had to clean that bathtub behind that boy? Because when you pull the plug on that drain, all that stuff ain't going down that drain. It's going in the tub.
Tyrone, what you doing? Down the hall. Tyrone, get your ass in here, boy.
Oh boy, bro. Oh man.
Yeah. Came out the tub smelling like. Go ahead.
I was gonna say you know what? make your joke. Make your joke.
I was gonna say he came out the tub smelling like chicken, and nobody asked him like what. Like his mother wasn't concerned at all. Like he was up there for a minute. And like either mom was like super busy or she just was not paying attention at all.
Nah, she was super busy. You didn't hear her on the phone call.
She didn't even come in the house. Yeah.
Directing traffic, and I don't even think his father lived there. I don't know what's going on.
It don't seem like it, do it?
I don't know what that did. I don't know where he is.
We are established here push over.
Yeah. That's not right. Yeah, I mean, look, I like where this kind of left us. There are some strange turns in the episode for sure. But I like where the episode left us. Like I think it's I still feel like the show is heading in the right direction, and now I feel a little bit more excited about this next episode coming because of the fact that it feels like we're gonna really get to see them start to experiment with their abilities and that kind of a thing.
Right. I agree.
So I'm waiting for him to be like, yo, you really be wearing my hoodie though? Like you took my hoodie when I was 5. For me my whole life. Like you took my wallet and my right. Yeah. Like and then she'll be like, you kept my ballet shoe though.
Yeah, that's creepy. Sorry.
I mean, I don't know. What do you do? What would you do with that? Like
I don't know. That's why it's creepy.
He knows he saved her.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, the police thing is getting a little tricky. So I'm really interested in seeing. Clearly, there's some corruption here, and I'm wondering who or why that particular police officer worked to say this case is closed. Like, who is it?
Why he straight did the investigation? That was interesting.
Yeah, it seems like he should kind of be removed from that. Like, it just doesn't seem like he should have any interest in
Mhm.
that case. Like, why would he be pursuing anything with,
Now,
with Tandy or whatever?
do you think he might be in the pocket of the corporation in some way, shape, or form?
Um,
Like they
I
might.
mean, certainly, but I mean, I don't really see how that's tied into Tandy possibly getting raped. Like, if this, if the officer, came to the house to try to, see if the to try to see if she was okay because she
Mhm.
thinks that the guy attempted to rape her, which technically
Which
he
he
did.
did, right?
Right. Um, then I think I'm actually really interested to find out what Tandy told the officer when she met with her, because they don't
Yeah.
let us hear that.
Right.
So I'm wondering if she actually told her the truth or not, or how much of it was true. I mean, clearly, I don't think she could tell her, yeah, I
Yeah,
made a I made a light dagger and shanked
shanked
him.
him.
Yeah. Um, but I'm also feeling like I'm pretty sure she didn't tell her that they robbed him. Like, she hit him
Very
over the
true.
head in the
Yeah.
first episode and stole all his stuff. So um but again, it is actually making me wonder whether or not the police officer maybe knows the lawyer that her mother is like sleeping and doing coke with or something.
Mm.
And if like somehow the cop that killed Tyrone's brother is going to be tied to her mother and or father and or the corporation, you know what I mean, in
Yeah,
some
yeah,
way, because again, it just seems like for him to do that, somebody would have had to say to him, hey, look, you need to just step in and make this not a thing, which again,
right,
I don't even understand why her mother or that lawyer would do that, but I can't figure out what that connection is. So
right. I agree.
Yeah.
and clearly that police officer has, they have a history together, like they know each other.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm wondering what that is and whether or not she has been looking into him or maybe thinks that he's corrupt or something going on and she don't like him anyway. And so now she's going to end up being some kind of an ally
For
or
them
something
going
along those
forward.
lines.
I,
And that would mean that that's still a connection that Tyrone has to helping get his side of things fixed that comes through Tandy.
Hmm. Yeah,
I
whatever's
feel like
going on there is definitely the I would say the tie-in to how they help each other, kind of a deal. You know what I mean? Like what makes their
Outside of
story.
their
Yeah,
powers.
yeah. What makes their stories cross paths? Yeah.
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 You were saying, Coop?
No, I mean it's just I hope it doesn't. It feels like one of those episodes where you could just like predict what some of the things are going to happen. Like I feel
Yeah.
like Tyrone's going to be in his room with either her or somebody else, and then the parents are going to bust in because he's a teenager and their parents, and they're going to see something they're not supposed to see, whether it's powers or him with a girl or something like that. And I don't know. I just don't want it to be so. What's the word I'm looking for? Obvious, I guess. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm excited for the next episode, but I just don't want it to be so cliche in
Sure.
certain aspects. Yeah.
Sure. I can dig it. I mean, I guess we can go ahead and put a bow on this, gentleman. As a whole, we feel good about this episode.
Yeah.
I do. I do. I'm cool with what I got. It wasn't what I was looking for, but that seems to be happening in the next episode. To start to
Sure.
happen in the
Yeah.
next episode. So I'm cool with this one, but I'm more so looking forward to next week's episode.
Yeah. I literally said at the preview, I was like, all right, that's what I want right there. Like that's when you
Gotcha.
see them, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Starting to do some practice. Yeah, I enjoyed this episode. I think it was a good episode. I think it falls in line with kind of where they are. I think I'm getting used to what the pacing of it is. I'm starting to feel like though now it's going to pick up some. So
I mean, yeah,
as
it's
they
only
get
10
some control
episodes.
over their
It's
powers.
got to pick up.
Right. Right. So I'm feeling
Yeah.
like it's going to start picking up really quickly.
Yeah.
Um and we'll either get left with a terrible cliffhanger, which is totally possible,
Of course.
or we'll, get a resolution. So I dig this episode. I think we can wrap this one up, gentlemen. I want to tell everybody who is watching. I want to thank you first. Make sure
Yes.
you guys hit that ding-a-ling bell so that as we upload these episodes every Monday at 7 p.m., you'll get that notification just in case you forget. That will also make sure that you get notified every time we upload another video. The crew just came out of All Star Comic Con, which was awesome. We had a great
Yes,
time
it
there.
was. We are beat.
We met and talked to a lot of people, and we have a lot of content coming to the channel for you all to check out and view and hopefully share. So please give this episode a thumbs up if you liked what you saw and or heard, especially if you agree with our assessment. If you don't agree with our assessment, or even if you do, please feel free to
Drop a
type your
comment.
sentiments in the
Yeah.
comments below. So that we can interact with you guys and kind of see what you're thinking and kind of bring some of those thoughts and ideas into the show as we continue to do these reviews week after week. So signing off for Gage. That's at Empty Shells, where you can follow me, Sin at Sincere619, where you can follow him. And for Coop's Concessions, that's at Coop's Concessions across socials, where you can follow him. We are the Loading Snacks crew, and we are out. Toodles and loodles.